everybody. Thanks so much for being here. So today I'm super excited because, as you can tell by the title, I am doing something a little different. I'm going to be telling you a story while I'm doing my makeup. And today I'm going to tell you about the time that my dealer stole my car. And then I, at the end of it, almost got arrested because of it. So, yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. If you're new here, my name is Shyla and this is LaLa Land. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and click that subscribe button and then ring that notification bell so YouTube lets you know every time I upload a video. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So this story took place, so I'm 32 now. This story took place when I was 19. I want to say I must have just barely turned 19. Because, let me see. So I already had my son Kimari. And I was old enough to use my credit, and it was July, I want to say, because of the festival around the time that I went to. So I want to say I was 19. So I had not at this point been able to buy my own car or anything like that. I moved out of my mom's house when I was 16 was when I moved out. And I moved in with my ex-husband. At that time he was my boyfriend, obviously, because I was a child. But so he was older than me and he had his own car and everything like that. So by the time I was 19, I did know how to drive and everything, but I did not have my own car. And for me, that meant independence and some freedom. So I was super excited to get that, even though I was already independent and not living with my family or my parents or anything like that. I was living with him and his family, and everybody wants some independence, right? So I was super excited to get a car. He told me that he knew a place. He was so excited to take me to this dealership. It was a friend of a friend, and his friends were not always the best people in the world. I should have known going into it, but they weren't. Anyways, no shade, just truth. So I went with him to the car dealership so that we could pick out a car for me. I was a little hesitant, and we had actually talked about it for a few weeks. And then finally, I was just like, yeah, I really do want to get a car. So I'm going to go with you. And we went to the dealership. And so I was not in a position where I could be super picky or like, I want a Barbie car, or I want this type of car. Like, it wasn't like everybody's first, like their dream of their first car or anything like that. It was like, this is what you're gonna get type of thing. So I tried to be as positive about, what am I doing? Oh yeah, okay. I tried to be as positive about the whole situation as possible, so just keep that in mind when I tell you about the car that we got. So we get there, and this dealership is literally like a relocatable from school. Like, I don't know if you remember those like extra classrooms in like the back of the school or whatever. We called them relocatables. I know some people call them portables, but that's like what the office part of the dealership was. But it was like downtown, not in like the middle of the city, like by the Capitol or anything like that, but like downtown. So like lots of people with carts full of their lives on the corners and shit like that. So that type of area. So that's where we went. There was a bunch of cars in like a parking lot and like a relocatable portable thing like pushed up against like a brick wall. And so we're looking around. There's like some cars that like the paint jobs look nice and like, oh, they have tint and like stuff like that. So I was pretty like not stoked about the variety of cars or the selection, but I was like, okay, I can find something. I think I can be happy with something that we can find here. Like, this is going to be good. Me and Kimari are going to be rolling around. I'm going to go see my friends. I was really excited to go and just be able to be at my friend's house because she, at that point, had gotten her first apartment. And, again, that was just like a place that I could have a little more freedom. So I was pretty excited about that. So I was just trying to be more as positive as possible in this situation. And I, again, wasn't in a position that I could be like super picky about it, or didn't feel like I could be super picky about what we were getting. So I just kind of went with what I could and just dealt with what I got. So we're looking and looking, and then we finally meet his friend, the car dealer. So this is like a real actual person. I'm not going to use like his real name because it's a shady situation and he screwed me over. We'll call him Blob. So Blob comes up and he's like super nice and was super excited to meet me and like really charismatic. And so that kind of helped a lot because he seemed to know what he was talking about. Like, oh, this car has this spec and this car has that spec and blah blah blah, and here's this situation over here, and oh, this one's not the best for you, and I think for you and what you want for you and your son and all this stuff. So like I felt definitely like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Good, because I had no idea what I was looking for. It wasn't like I was going with my parents or anything like that. I was going with my boyfriend at the time, who was just like, I don't know. He's not like, he's an ex for a reason. So we'll just say that. So anyways, so that was the situation I was in. But this guy made me feel pretty good about it. I'm like, okay, this is going to work out, you know? It's going to be fine. So I decided to go with the flow. And I told him, like, you know, I don't want like a car that's like going to get super hot, but I do want tinted windows. And so he was saying like, okay, well, then you definitely want like a white car or like a lighter colored car. So I was like, okay, well, white's fine. So we started looking at like whiter cars, and then he kept like leaning me towards this Nissan Maxima. And so I was like, and it's really stupid reason not to like Nissan, but like my ex at the time had gotten into an accident, and the person that caused the accident had a Nissan Maxima. So I just thought, like, oh, they're bad juju type of thing. So I was like, I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. But he kept like pushing towards it. And then the ex was like, why don't you just look at it? Why don't you just test drive it? Let's just give it a shot. So I didn't get to drive it around. The ex drove it around. Like we just went around the block. And I didn't know anything about cars. I still don't know anything about cars. But I didn't think there was anything really wrong. But then again, I was not the one that was driving it, so I was just like thinking everything was okay. The car was going and the car was stopping, so that's what cars are supposed to do, right? But when we turned, there was like clicking, and he said like, oh, don't worry, we can fix that. That's an easy fix. We do have a mechanic that we have a contract with, and we can work on it. We can get it fixed. So that's something that we'll fix, and we'll put that in the contract for like, that's the deal. Like if you're going to buy it, then this is what we're going to fix, stuff like that. And then, so we're driving and the clicking's still happening, and then he's just talking about how he's going to fix it and it's fine. So I'm like, okay, well, it's getting kind of hot. So I tried to turn on the AC, and it like didn't turn on and made like a really bad, like not bad noise, like, oh no, it's going to blow up, but like it didn't make the best noise going on. And it was not blowing cold air. So he said that, oh yeah, that's another thing that we can fix. We can fix that. Don't worry about it, like type of thing. So, okay, fine, let's get it fixed. And then I tried to roll down the window because it's hot, the AC's not working, and then the passenger window didn't roll down either. But the driver's window rolled down and the passenger back window rolled down, but not the one behind the driver. So 2 windows of the 4 windows rolled down. Again, that's something that they were gonna fix. So I wasn't trying to be super picky. It was like, oh, that's disappointing, I'm sad about it, but like if they're gonna fix it, then who am I to doubt it? And like if they're gonna fix it, then why be sad about it? Don't have a problem with it. That's cool. So we're super happy about it. We actually, so since this situation, I have bought several cars, and never ever has it been a situation where the dealer drives with you to like a personal credit union finance situation and make sure it's all taken care of, and then takes the check from them and then drives back to you so you can get your car. Like, but then again, all the other cars that I've bought have been from like a legit dealership where the finance guy is in-house and all of that good stuff, and we get you hooked up, all of that. So this was a totally new situation for me. I had never bought any other car, so I didn't know that it was kind of weird that he did this. But okay, so we picked up the Nissan Maxima. It was white, it had tinted windows, and he said he was gonna fix the clicking when it turns, the windows, the AC, and I want to say there was another thing that he was gonna fix, but I'm not for sure. But at least for sure, those 3 things that I can remember. And he said that he was going to take care of, like, he's going to hook us up with a finance guy, because I told him I'm really nervous. I've never used my credit before. I'm really new to this whole situation. So he just told me, like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I have a finance guy for you, blah, blah, blah. So we go inside the little, like, portable, and they have those little, like, papers where, like, they write in the date, like the temp tags and stuff like that. So I had that. That seemed legit to me. And then we go with like the office clerk, like some chick that worked there, and we all drove down to a finance company. I'm not gonna say the name of the finance company. I'm honestly not even sure if they're still around. I'm not gonna say that they had anything to do with the situation, but I'm not going to say they didn't have anything to do with it. So we go to his finance guy, and I had no credit, and they got me a loan for this car that was a piece of shiz, was a big piece of crap, for $5,000. And this was in what? So if I was 19, like 2009? 2008? Like 2008? So $5,000 for a very used car. I don't even know how many miles on it. I'm pretty sure well over 100,000 miles. And again, several things need to be fixed on it. So, okay, whatever. We get financed. I get, the guy approves me. Everything's fine. He gives Blob the check for the car. And then we drove back to the dealership, which was like pretty far away, to be honest, from where like the finance guy was. So this was like an all-day situation, and I had to get back to my son, so I was trying to like rush. So we get it all figured out, and then so he said, okay, why don't you guys go ahead and take the car and then come back in in so many days, and that's when you just need to drop it off and give it to my mechanic. So we take the car home, all of that. I took it and I got it vacuumed out, and then I went and bought like a cute little like lay for the what is that thing? The rear view mirror and all of that stuff. And I was super excited to just have my own car and have some independence, and what that meant for me and for my son, and like for us getting around, and just, you know, maybe if we needed a place to escape or whatever it was, this car was going to be mine, and it was going in my name, so no one could take it away from me or anything like that. And I was so freaking excited. And so we go and we take the car back. Okay, so we go and take the car to the dealer so they can get the clicking sound when you turn, when you can get that fixed, the AC and the windows rolling down properly. So 2 of the 4 windows needed to be fixed. And then I want to say there was another thing, but I can't remember exactly, so maybe it's not that important. So I drop it off to him, I leave the car's keys, and he said the mechanic shop was like literally next door to where the dealership was. So I thought that was going to be perfect. It's really close, so I knew where it was, so when I could pick up the car. Because for me, finding new places is hard. Finding old places is hard to get lost. So I was pretty excited that it was right next door, and I knew it was next door to where I already knew how to get to. So we got the car dropped off, and I'm again super excited because of what this car is going to mean for me and my independence, and, you know, for me and my son, and just the options were super open. I was growing up. I was feeling like an adult and using my credit because I had no freaking idea what that meant. And honestly, I didn't even figure out how to start playing the credit game until this past year. So I was super naive in the whole situation, but I'm over here thinking like, oh, it's okay. I dropped it off. The mechanic's going to fix it. Everything's fine. Okay, it's been a day. Obviously, they're working on it. It's going to take longer than a day. So that's cool. I totally messed up my contour on this side. And then everything's going to be fine. They're going to get it fixed. Okay, it's been 2 days. Not a big deal. Probably still working on it because they're professionals. And it takes time to do stuff like that. So I'm not going to sit here and freak out. Okay. All right. Well, it's been like 3 days. And I am starting to get a little stressed out. He's not even answering my calls, not returning my calls, nothing like that. So I'm getting stressed out. But the next day we had a festival. There's a town where Taylorsville is. It's like a carnival or festival or whatever, or like a fair. And my family throws like a big party. My aunt has a pool. We would go swimming there, all this fun stuff. So that was coming up within like the next day or the day after that. So I was getting excited for that. But I couldn't stop thinking like, man, now I can't even take my car to that. I can't show my mom my new car. I can't show anybody. I'm talking about this new car that I have. Nobody's seen it. I haven't even seen it since the first day we got it. Literally, I took it the next day. So, or a couple days. And then, I need to set my face. So I tried to get a hold of Blob one last time the day of the Taylorsville Days Festival. And he doesn't call me back again. Or he doesn't answer again. And then I even called the office of the dealership to try to talk to that clerk chick that worked there, and she rode with us down to the finance company, so I figured she would know what was going on. No answer, nothing. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm at the barbecue, we went swimming, we're in the pool, everything, and the next thing I know, I get a call from Blob, and he's like, hey, where's your car? So I was like, okay. And this guy's kind of like a jokester. So I literally thought he was joking. I was like, oh, you're funny. And he's like, no, seriously, where's your car at? Like, what's going on? I was like, what do you mean? You have my car. You've had my car for 4 days now. And I've been trying to call you to see what's going on. So where is my car? And he told me like, okay, yours must have been a part of the robbery. And I'm so sorry, but here's the situation. The mechanic where your car was got broken into, and a few cars got stolen. They weren't sure which ones. So, like, how do you not know which cars you have in your shop that you're fixing and not know if they're stolen or not? Because you have so many, there's so much business. It was a really small garage. I think they could maybe fit 2 cars in the bay at one time. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't a big, huge thing that like, oh, there's so many cars that I couldn't freaking remember. So anyways, so he's like, oh, I guess your cars must have been one of the ones that got screwed up or got stolen. So you're going to have to deal with the police. And I was like, what? Like, why didn't anybody call me? Like, when was this? And he said, oh, a few nights ago. So I was like, what night exactly? And it was like the day after I had dropped off my car. So I was like, okay, well, it was just me and my son at the barbecue because the ex didn't go with me to my family stuff. So I just only had my mom to like help me. So I was like, okay, mom, this is the situation. So she's like, okay, well, now you have to call. So we're from Salt Lake City. So she said, call Salt Lake City police department and ask them like, okay, we need the case number. We need to know exactly what's going on, who's investigating, like let them know what the car is. Maybe they don't know that information and all that stuff. So I was like, okay. So I called the police and I talked to them and asked them like, you know, what happened, There's literally no freaking record of a robbery, a break-in, or anything for that address. So I call West Valley Police, another city, nothing. I called Taylorsville Police, nothing. And then come to find out, no one had ever called the police. No one reported a robbery or a break-in of any kind. So I'm thinking like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is so freaking weird. So I try to call Blob back, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, you have to talk to the mechanic. And so I tried to call the mechanic several times. They did not answer. The clerk chick, I don't even know if she was a real person at this point because everything's so weird. So I wasn't going to keep trying to call her. So I was getting super stressed out because I had never, first of all, never owned my own car. And then second of all, didn't think that like Grand Theft Auto was a thing that would ever happen in real life. Like, I have the game. I didn't ever have like, I didn't think that that was like a real thing that was going to happen to me in real life. And so I was pretty like, I don't know, I guess kind of like dumbfounded. Like, how does this happen type of thing? Like, okay, karma. Whoops. Okay, where was I? Okay. So I didn't know how to handle dealing with a stolen car. So I was asking my mom, like, what do I do? How do I handle this? like the cops weren't aware of it. So I was the one that had to report the car stolen. I was the one that had to make them aware of the entire situation, but they didn't hear anything about the mechanic shop, so I told them I had no information about that, just my car. So I reported my car stolen, and then the next day, me and my mother went to the place so she could talk to the guy, because she's like, this all seems shady. I've never heard of a car dealer driving with you to their own personal finance guy. Like, why didn't you have to deal with that on your own and then go back to him? Like, I felt like, she just felt like that was kind of shady and weird. So me and her went to El Caliente Auto Sales downtown, and legit, we pulled up to an empty parking lot. There's nothing. There's no cars. All the cars that I saw, there was pretty, like 40, 50 cars. So the parking lot was freaking full. So nothing in the parking lot. And that relocatable that the little office was in, where they had the temp tags and like her little desk and all of that stuff, was literally like, it looked like it was ripped off the wall. Like the big, huge gray brick wall had like the shape of the relocatable in white. Like, it was seriously looked like a cartoon. Like someone had come and ripped this building off of the wall, and like it was like a crime scene cutout type of thing. It was the weirdest thing. So we pull up, there's no dealership. And Blob is not answering my calls, of course. So I'm kind of freaked out, like don't know what to do. Like, obviously my car's stolen. How am I going to deal with this? So I just felt like, okay, I don't have the car, so it's not my car. It was literally stolen like days after we got it taken care of from his finance guy. So I'm not responsible for that, right? That's what was in my head. That's what made sense to me. That was what was fair. Because, again, remember, I'm super freaking naive at this point. I don't know anything about anything, and I've never bought a car before, and didn't realize that when I signed that piece of paper, it doesn't matter to them if I have a cute little freaking car that I can drive my son around in or not. It matters to them when they get paid. So, car's stolen, like a month goes by, don't hear anything, and then I'm getting a phone call from Blob's finance guy. We'll call him Goop. So Goop starts calling me, and he's like, hey, I know that you're new with, using your credit and having a loan. This is your first loan, but it was due like 10 days ago, and you need to make the first payment. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you must not understand. The car was stolen. I don't have that anymore. She's like, oh no, that's so sad. Did you talk to insurance about it? Is that all taken care of? And I was like, well, we did have insurance on it, but again, the car was stolen, so like I didn't even have it for a day. So bye. Like, I didn't think, like, there's no way I'm responsible for this. And he's like, well, that's not how it works. I'm so sorry to hear that your car was stolen, but you are responsible for the $5,000 that I lent you. Whether you have the car or not isn't really my problem, but you do have to pay me back. So, and the payments were high. The interest rate was high. I think he was saying I had to pay like $416 a month. And that to me just sounded insane. Like, how is this even happening? Like, how do I have to pay for this money or pay for this car when it was stolen? I didn't even get to take my son for a ride in the car one time. I didn't get to go to the grocery store in this car one freaking time. How do I have to pay for it? It doesn't make any freaking sense. So I was like, no, I'm not going to pay for that. Well, then we get a call from Salt Lake City PD, and they tell us, hey, we found your car. It was on the side of the road and broken down, so it looks like they got the car, they ran it out of gas, and left it on the side of the road. How long has it been on the side of the road? I have no freaking idea, but it's at this impound shop, so contact your insurance and let them know where it's at. So I called the insurance company and told them, like, okay, the car has been found. They're like, okay, cool, because I think, honestly, at this point, they were going to be paying it off, but I didn't know how that all worked, so I just called the insurance company and told them, like, okay, they found the car now, so we're going to go pick it up, and you guys need to come take a look at it and see what we're going to do, if it's worth keeping or anything like that. So so we went and picked it up, and it, like, the car was so gross. Like, the inside, it was like sticky. I didn't want to touch the steering wheel. It was so gross and nasty. Like, the whole vibe of the car was just disgusting to me. I had no interest in the car at this point. I freaking hated the car. I thought it was stupid. I didn't want anything to do with it. And I kept telling my ex, like, I don't want the car anymore. Like, we need to get rid of this car. I'm stuck with the car now. Like, I have to have this car. There's no choice. So, but the thing is, they have the adjuster come out, and the amount that it was going to take to fix the car was not how much the car was worth. So the car was a total loss, but I still owed $5,000 on the car, and they were not going to pay that amount. So there was a big amount of money that I was still stuck left owing, and I was young and had never used credit before and didn't know how that all worked in the real world. So I was like, no, it's not fair. I'm not paying. So I didn't pay for the car. I didn't pay for the loan on it or anything like that. And then Goop kept calling me and telling me that I had to pay, I had to pay, I had to pay. I was responsible for it and all of this stuff. And I pretty much told him he could go get, because he was getting pretty rude about it. And I let him know the situation. Like, this isn't right. Like, how do I have to pay for this car when it was stolen from me? And then come to find out, and okay, so before we all start thinking like, hello, duh, little girl, that's how it works. I know, I totally get that that's how that works, but this is the grimy situation behind the car. So when the cops found the car, I can't believe I almost forgot to like tell you guys this part. When the cops found the car, they called me and told me, okay, we found it on the side of the road, come pick it up, it's at this impound lot, da da da. Well, they told me that the car had previously been stolen from Las Vegas, and it was actually still registered in that owner's name, who was a production company for adult films. So that's actually who the car, where Blob got the car to be, I'm getting names mixed up, where Blob got the car to begin with. So it was already a stolen car that ended up in his lot. I don't know if he had anything to do with that or not. I'm just saying that's the situation. I am the one that ended up buying it, and then somehow his mechanic, it's stolen and then used for a bunch of things. It was not sticky when I had it. So when we got it back, it was super sticky, full of a bunch of crap. Like, I don't know what the heck happened, but the car was never reported stolen. They said they had reported it, all of this stuff. They acted like, oh, yours was one of the many, many cars that got stolen, when then that garage couldn't have fit more than one car at a time. Or I'm sorry, more than two cars at a time. So just like the whole thing seemed really shady to me. So I think that's why I was so salty about having to pay for it back, because I got screwed. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I got screwed over. I now know, being much older, much more of an adult, that yes, it absolutely was my responsibility to pay for it, because I signed a loan asking for $5,000. I did not sign a loan asking for a car. I get it. And it was not necessarily his responsibility to help me find a car that his dealer stole, or I don't know, I can't even say that he for sure stole it, but the whole situation is super shady and grimy, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Blob, if you're watching and you think that this is not true, then you go ahead and you call me up and explain it to me, because I feel like he stole the car. So anyways, he starts sending me like call after call after call telling me I have to pay. I'm getting freaking salty, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay for this car that I got screwed over on. I don't even have it anymore. It's a total freaking loss. You guys have the car. You go ahead and sell it for $5,000, and you tell me that's how much it's worth, because you're trying to screw me over. It's not fair, blah, blah, blah. Again, I know I was in the wrong. I get it. So I didn't pay for the car. Well, I guess he took me to court, or decided to sue me for it. And then how you do that is you have someone served, And how they serve you is they have a constable or someone that works for the state or someone that has a gun and handcuffs and all of that stuff and the right and the power to arrest people come to your house and be like, hey, here's a piece of paper that says you have to go to court on this date, blah, 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 blah. So you can either get that or someone else can get that lives with you and they'll tell them like, okay, I'm going to sign this telling you I'm going to give this piece of paper with this information to the person that it's for. Well, they sent a subpoena to my house at the time, and I lived in an apartment complex that, like, there was 2 buildings, and there's, like, 4 or 3 different floors, and so I lived in one building, and my mother actually lived in another building, so we lived right by each other, and I was at her apartment pretty often, and, one time I was up there, and we're just hanging out, visiting, whatever, and my ex calls me and says, hey, there's this guy here looking for you. I think you need to come talk to him. I was like, what guy is there looking for me? I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, he is a constable, and he said that he needs to speak to you, and he came for you the other day. I just forgot, but I need you, like, you need to come talk to this guy. I was like, okay, that's weird. Because at this point, I had never had any trouble with the law, had never had a warrant, had never been to jail, nothing, like, going on. I was, like, I was good to go in that department, like, never had an issue. So I was like, okay, maybe he's looking for someone that I know, type of thing. I don't know. So I went down there, and this guy's there, and he's, like, all in this freaking, like, combat boots and his bulletproof vest and total freaking jerk, like really freaking rude. And he's like, are you Shyla? And I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, well, I'm so-and-so and you had court on this date and you didn't show up, so you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. I'm like, whoa, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, my son is right here. There's no way you're going to do this to me. Like, I don't get arrested. I'm not the type of person to get arrested. So this is wrong. Like, there's no way this is happening. So I was like, what do I have to do? He's like, you have to pay like $450 right now for your bail money. So he was saying I could pay my bail before he took me to jail. And I don't even know if that's legal. So if it's not, look it up and tell me. But he said that I could pay him like $450 for my bail money. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I don't have $450. So I don't know what to tell you, but you're not arresting me. Like, this is not right. And so I called my mom, because again, remember, her apartment is like just above mine in the building next door to ours. So I called her, and I was like, Mom, I'm getting arrested. You got to come help me. And she's like, yeah, right, whatever. And hangs up on me. But that's because, like, we prank my mom a lot, like a lot. All the time. Like, I've called her, like, when I was, like, with my friend. I was like, oh my gosh, we're in a high-speed chase. And she's like, oh, stop, you gotta stop. I'm like, no, we're not gonna stop. They're gonna arrest us. So, like, we've made her think we were literally on, like, high-speed chases. We made her think that, like, we've put, like, acid in her Kool-Aid and made her start feeling weird. Like, we've pranked my moms a million times. So, that, like, when I'm calling her, like, from our family, anybody getting arrested, obviously it wouldn't be me, is what she would be thinking. Like, there's no way Shyla's getting arrested. So when I call her and tell her, like, oh, this guy's arresting me, you need to come help me, she's like, oh, sure, you're getting arrested, right. So she hangs up on me. And so I'm like, what the hell? So, like, I was like, no, sir, just, like, wait, let me call my mom back, I'm sorry. And so I call her back, Mom, seriously, like, you can't hang up on me, I'm not joking, get over here, he's gonna arrest me, I need your help. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna come down, but if you're not getting arrested, I swear to God, I'm gonna freaking kill you. So she comes downstairs, and I'm like, he, like, has handcuffs on me at this point, and he's being a total jerk, just, like, really aggressive for no reason, total jerk. And so my mom's telling him, like, look, this is, like, the situation. If anybody signed for this subpoena, like, you need to tell us who. And so he told us the name, and she's like, okay, that is her mother-in-law. She does not speak English. She probably didn't know what she was signing for. My daughter was not aware of the situation. I can guarantee you, if she was aware that she had court, she would have showed up to court. Sorry. And So he was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Your daughter is going to jail unless you can pay me $450 right now. So, mind you, at this point, my mom was a single mother trying to make it on her own, like barely getting by, because the biological father situation for us does not pay child support. So, she was struggling. So there's no freaking way my mom had $450 just chilling to pay my bill that this situation never should have happened. So that really sucked for us. So she's like, oh yeah, I don't have $450. There's no way, like, you can't take my daughter to jail, like, her baby's crying. This is a situation that needs to be handled, but not like this. And again, he's being aggressive, like, I need to be paid, or she's got to go, let's just go. So she tells me, like, okay, why don't you call your dad? And when I say my dad, just like I said before, the biological situation for fathers in my life is not, he's not around. So when I say dad, that's actually my uncle, who has always been there for me and will always be there for me. And actually my children call him grandpa. So my mom says, call your dad. So I called my uncle, my adopted dad. I adopted him as my dad. And I call him and I tell him, like, hey, this asshole is being an asshole and he is here to arrest me because of a situation I was not aware of. You know, she signed for the papers. She didn't know what she was signing for, the mother-in-law. And now he's being super aggressive and I'm scared. I don't want to go to jail, like, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, oh, no. Let me talk to him right now. So this guy went from being, like, super aggressive, like, pointing his finger, like, type of thing, to where I'm handing him the phone to talk to my dad, who is agreeing to pay the bail, like the $450 bail money, but he has to pay a card over the phone. And my dad could hear how the guy was talking to me in the background. So he was like, okay, let me talk to him and I'll give him the payment information. And this guy went from being like, what? When he answered the phone, to by the end of it, yes, sir. No, sir. Absolutely, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. You're right, sir. Absolutely. No. You know, I understand, sir. Like, trying to make excuses for why he's being such a dick. And, so, I don't know, like, my dad, I think he's one of the sweetest people in the world, but he comes from, like a military family. So, he is and can be very militant when he needs to be, and he knows, you know, who can handle that type of shit and who can't. And this guy was a big old baby that was just had too much bite for his bark, or too much bark for his bike, or whatever there was. What? None of that made sense. Too much bark for his bite, because he was just really a little baby back biznitch, and he shouldn't have been talking to me like that or being so aggressive, because it was really rude. And sir, you're a man. There's no need for you to be so freaking aggressive towards me. All right, thanks. Anyway, so what glitter should I use? Okay, so then he was like, yes sir, no sir, I'm sorry about that, sir. You're right, blah blah blah. So then he starts taking the payment, and then he tells my dad that there is a fee to pay over the phone for like $35 on top of the $450, and that pissed my dad off, because what a freaking joke, because he was just unprofessional to begin with, and $35 for you to take a payment, like, over the phone, like, it's a bit drastic of an amount to make someone have to pay that, but whatever. So my dad did pay all of it. He paid the whole thing, but yeah, that took care of that. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pop on some lashes. Okay, sorry. So got my lashes on, all of that good stuff. Let's finish up my face. Where were we? Okay, so my dad paid my bail, and pretty much whipped that little freaking guy over the phone. He was such a freaking jerk. Again, he was being aggressive for no reason. He had no reason to act like that. I was not, like, arguing with him or anything like that. I just didn't know what was going on. So, no reason to be a jerk. So, anyways, my dad paid the bail. Long story short, if you want to like the whole ending with that whole situation is nothing ever happened to Blob and Goop. I never paid him back. I did continue to go to court and fight that just because the home situation definitely started to change, and things started getting a little dicey, and like, I don't know, it's like the finance situation was really, really hard for us. It got really, really tight, so there was no way that I could just come up with an extra $416 for something that we did not have when I still had to pay for a car that I needed to get and to like actually use and for me and my son. So I never paid for that car, and I had to file bankruptcy. So to be honest though, the times that I did see Blob at court when we were talking about the car and everything, he tried very hard to just be like, oh yeah, Blob is I'm sorry, every time I saw Goop at court, he was trying to say like, oh, Blob's going through a hard time and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, so you're still friends? It's just like, okay, so you're still friends with the man that totally screwed me over and you're expecting me to feel bad for him. Yeah, not gonna happen. But thanks anyways. And I just feel like if Blob was going through a hard time, it's probably because of his karma. And I highly doubt that I am the first person that he screwed over in that way. But the big lesson to learn there is pay attention to what you're doing. Know what you're signing. I don't care how old you are. If you're signing something, know that you are responsible for that situation. And the only thing that can get you out of that is being an adult and facing it. Because running from it and avoiding that situation and being a brat like I was and just like, oh, it's not fair, I shouldn't have to pay for that car. I should have handled it at a very different way. I just had no idea how to handle it. And again, like I said, I moved out at a very young age. So it was kind of like I was figuring this out on my own. But anyway, so the situation did get figured out. I don't know. I hope you guys like this look. I didn't know it was going to end up being this drastic, but I like it. Okay, so my nose is just a bit shiny. I didn't even blend in my contour or anything. Okay, yeah, anyway, so that is the end of the story. That is how my dealer stole my car and I almost got arrested for it. If you like this story, if you want more stories like this, I do have a bunch of stories. I do love to talk. I talk a lot with my hands, so sorry if I was doing that too much. But yeah, I have more stories, so if you guys want to hear them or want to know about them, just hit me up down in the comments so I know that this is a video you guys would like to see. I absolutely am pulling inspiration to do something like this from one of my idols, who is AlexisJayda. If you guys are not a part of her fam bam, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I will make sure to link her information down below. She is amazing. I love her story times. They seriously, like, they make you laugh, they make you cry, you go through all of the emotions, you kind of feel like hyped up, like you feel like you want to be on her side. Like, this woman is amazing. So definitely check her out. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. Always turn on notifications. Make sure you hit up my subscription button. Click the notifications there so YouTube lets you know every time I or AlexisJayda uploads a video. And thank you guys so much for being here. Your time does mean a lot to me. I hope you like today's look. And I will make sure to link all of the makeup that I used down below. Thanks again. I hope you have a good night. And yeah, take care, you guys. Bye-bye.